And a really warm welcome on behalf of DAIT. My name is Laura Ogando, Program Manager for the Office of Digital Literacy and Inclusion. I'm again so excited to be here. This really truly is the highlight of my week. I look forward to Friday because one, again, long weeks, but this is the highlight of my Friday, getting to be with all of the parent coordinators, learning and growing with you. So again, truly honored to be here and excited for today's session. Going to pass it on over to Lisa to have an introduction from her.
Thank you so much, Laura. As many of you know, my name is Lisa Nielsen, Senior Director of Digital Literacy and Inclusion. And like Laura said, we just love having all of you come join us on Fridays. We like helping to empower you with the tools that make you look awesome. And that is the whole point of today's session, is how to present in amazing ways. And with that, I will turn it over to Christina.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. I was really loving the music, the Saturday Night Vibes music. We need a Friday song, though, to intro us all on Fridays. Y'all know me, Christina, EdTech Program at DIT. I'm happy to be here once again and for an awesome session on effective presentations. Passing it back to you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Christina. And again, we got to always shout out Latiqua. She is holding it on the back end, all right? She always makes sure that all of our participants have all the things they need to make the most out of today's session. So she's on the back end. Hold on here. I'm fighting with audio today, guys. It's my AirPods keep transferring over to my other computer. I do apologize. I might have to actually pull out the old school headset here. But again, thank you so much, Latiqua. She just dropped all the links that you are going to need for today's session. So if you're not sure, just open up that chat. Everything is in the chat, okay? I promise. So if anything, just open it up there. Remember, you can always ask for questions, any support you need. We will make sure we get you covered. And with that, I'm kicking it over to my girl, Derry, while I figure out my audio.
Thank you so much, Laura, and happy Friday, everyone. Check it out. I have my Zoom background in the background. Super excited. My name is Derry Rodriguez. I am from the Office of Family Community Empowerment, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to another Friday. So again, if you do not see your colleague, your friend, someone that needs to be here today, we still have some time. You know what? Send them a friendly reminder to check their emails from last night. I did send a message to say to not miss this workshop because it's all about leveling up our facilitation skills with our girl Laura. I just want to just quickly recap and thank Lori for her amazing presentation last week. If you missed it, don't worry, we have it recorded. We will drop the link again on our Parent Coordinator Teams channel. And I want to shout out Latiqua. She's been putting all the videos in a spreadsheet. So I'm happy to send that out as well, so you guys can check it out. I'm here also with my colleague, Diana Miller. Diana, do you want to say a quick shout out, quick message?
Good morning, everyone. As always, I am truly excited to be here. I look forward to the Fridays. I'm excited. Welcome, everyone. I also echo everyone. So please get in your colleagues, get them in. This is going to be fun. We can always use information regarding presentations. Believe it or not, guys, I am shy. So this is something that I struggle and try to work with. I try not to show that, but I'm here to also learn additional tools in regards to presentation. So I'm glad to be here today as well with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Yeah, we always get those jitters, but today we're going to learn how to use those jitters to put together an amazing workshop, a virtual workshop, a meeting, or everything else that's online. With that, I have some announcements. So we are super excited that our Watch Party series topics are done. So we have a few more. We have about, we have May 12th, May 26th, May 9th, and June 23rd. But our next one is next Wednesday. And that topic is Parent University Spring Up. So please join us next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. We are going to have Laura, who is the project manager, project director on Parent University. And we're going to learn again, how to use Parent University to host a watch party. So you do not want to miss that. That is next Wednesday. We have about a little over 300 courses so that you guys can either share with parents amazing things that are in the Parent University site. And also you can use it, Parent University, to host one of your parent workshops. We want to remind you that senior transition kickoff was this week. So the Office of College and Career Planning, they have wonderful workshops for students to get them ready for college and career. So please, please, please make sure that you share the flyer with your parents, your PAPTA, with the teachers, everyone, because I'm telling you, oh, I love this team. They put together some amazing workshops for our students. So please check them out. And lastly, you can't forget about our coffee face tech talk with Christina. And she is going to bring the team to talk about all things your questions. So it's not a presentation. It's all about you. It's all about your questions. So please make sure you start thinking about some questions that are coming from your school. What do parents want to know when it comes to technology? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the things that you want to know about something that you can't figure out? That's all things your questions. So that is the last Tuesday of this month. Do not miss it. Okay, guys, I did my little commercial break, and that is everything that is happening. And now, I can't believe it. We are down to the wire. We are about to end this school year. So with that, I was thinking, oh my gosh, do you guys know that we have over our Digital Fridays, we had a little bit over 33 Friday courses. So with that, we really want to know, how did you use our Digital Friday to increase your knowledge on digital tools and computer literacy to support your work? So with that, we want you to create a Flipgrid. And I'm going to take you really quickly on how to do a Flipgrid. I want to do it. And with that, before we get into our presentation, I just need one volunteer, just one person to do something really, really quick. So let's see it in the chat. If we have a volunteer, I just need a volunteer really quickly so that we can start our Friday topic. So let's see, who do we have now? Can I get a volunteer? Let me see those hands go up. And I don't see it. I think I'm having technical issues on my end.
I think I see Teresa Wong in the chat go, I loved and learned at every Friday session. So do I take it that Teresa's volunteering?
Teresa, do you want to volunteer? Really quickly, I want to do a quick demo, how to use Flipgrid. It's really simple, really easy, and I would love to share with you. But if not, because I really do want to, we have about 5 more minutes and then we're off to our facilitation conversation. Okay, so Teresa, I'm just gonna bring you in. Laura, let's just bring her in. And then I want you, Teresa, if you can turn on your camera really quickly, and if not, it's okay. But what I want you to do, I want you to go to Flipgrid right now. I want to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back. It's so simple. All you have to do, I'm going to drop it in the chat. Is that I would like for everyone to go to this site. And all you need to do to create an account is use your Outlook information. Once you're here, I'm going to give you the topic. Okay, and I would love for you guys to simply answer the question that I just asked in the presentation, and then create a video. So what I was actually going to do a quick demo, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to give you homework. How about we do some homework? Because I know with me, it's Friday, and sometimes we're not camera ready. So I don't want to put anyone on the spot. So instead, I want to show you this. I want to show you the site, which is Flipgrid. Raise your hands if you use Flipgrid in the past for a video message with your parents, with your school community, or if your teachers are using Flipgrid. So if you haven't used Flipgrid, it's really, really easy. It's so much fun. You just create an account. I'm going to give you the code so you guys can create your video message. And then you just answer the question. You can either answer the question by showing us an example. You can give some shout outs. You can shout out our girl Laura, Christina, Latiqua, Lisa, to let them know that how amazing they are. Hey, you could shout me out, Derry Rodriguez, Dery Rodriguez, and Diana Miller. Let us know how you guys are using the Flipgrid. I'm gonna start sharing my screen and I'm gonna go back to let you guys know you can easily do this. I see Kimberly with her hands up. Kimberly, do you wanna mute yourself really quickly?
Good morning, everyone. I can actually show my picture. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good
All
morning.
right,
Good morning.
Kim.
Yes.
You know what, Kimberly? Let's practice really quickly. I'm gonna give you the code.
I'm looking. You're gonna give it to me in the chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you in the chat. We got like 2 more minutes left. And I want you, let's just use an old one. I want you to create I want you to answer this question. Because now I can't go back. This is what happened. Yeah, let's just use an old one. Did you go to the Spring Symposium?
I'm not sure. I probably did. I go to so many of them.
And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna share this with you.
I don't see the code.
And I would love for you to answer the question. So I gave you the code and the code is FACE. Actually, I want you to create the account. So while she's looking at it, if everyone can just quickly just go to the Flipgrid, take a quick look at it. And then when you can answer that quick question. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a whole video sort of montage together and then show it at our end of the year celebration. So we wanna hear everything that you learned. And you know what? We wanna see how you use this information to create a wonderful, wonderful
I'm sorry. What's the code again? I clicked on the link. What's the code again?
It's phase 2021. So what I'm gonna do, Kimberly, is that you and I we're gonna talk in the back end, and at the end of the Friday conversation, we're gonna demonstrate your video. So how
Okay.
about that? Okay, I am done with my announcements. Guys, this is what you do when you improvise. Sometimes you plan it, but it doesn't work. And you know what? Laura's gonna show us what happens when you're preparing for these types of situations. Sometimes you gotta improvise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask Kimberly really quickly to mute herself, and then her and I we're gonna have a chat on the back end, and at the end we're gonna create a Flipgrid with the message. Share in a few sentences, how did the Digital Friday increase your knowledge on digital tools and computer literacy to support your work? So start thinking about that. Hey, you know what? Let's even get some pre answers on the chat. So feel free to throw some of those answers in the chat. And with that said, Laura, I'm gonna turn it back over to you to get us to our next topics. Thank you guys. Happy Friday.
Thank you so much, Derry. So Tali was here and then she had to run. She sends her apologies. This is, she supports so many educators across the DOE, but actually across the country. So that is why it's so hard for her to always join and be here for the entirety of the session. But I am going to quickly run through some of the resources that she wanted to share with folks. So, she knew that the topic was all about presentations, and she can't but help spotlight some of the resources that you're going to want to share if you're doing any type of presentation to your families where you're sharing out resources. Wide Open School. We talk about it almost every week, but it is gold on there. All right. And the parent and caregiver learning guides are the really amazing feature that they've been working on. So I'm going to quickly take us there just that you can see if you haven't seen it already. Again, all of this is parent and caregiver guides. You can then look by grade bands. So if you're looking, just for first grade things, you can go to the first grade guides. If you want to check out, the 8th grade, they have routines and expectations, which is also really nice because we know that for so many families who are supporting that, distance learning from home, this is where it falls apart. They don't have a good grasp on some of the routines and expectations. So again, Wide Open School has you covered. And a lot of these resources you'll see are specific to the DOE. So you can go to wideopenschool.org, but if you actually go to nycschools.wideopenschool.org, you get like the DOE specific version. All right. And there's some goodies on there that are not on just the generic site. So you're going to want to use the one that the DOE has kind of partnered with to access. Again, really, really amazing materials on here. And then we do want to spotlight Teacher Appreciation Week. It does happen to start the week of Monday, May 3rd. So you've got a couple of weeks right now to kind of prepare. This is a great resource to shoot out to your families and say, hey, thanking a teacher, here's some easy ways to do it. You can access the thank you cards, which is really nice. And these are, I mean, they're just kind of cards that you can download, you can send them. So they're really easy and cute looking. I mean, how nice is that? If you have access to a printer, you could obviously, print some of these out, color them in, hand deliver to teachers if that's possible based on the virtual schooling option that you've picked. But again, I think this is so nice. And you yourself can also send this out to teachers. I think right now, everyone wants thank yous. So if you can, send this out to both your family community, but also your school community. Right now, we can all use a little love and a little thank you, right? Never hurts. So that is all on Wide Open School. All right. But you know how we do. It's right about that time where we got to find out who is in the Zoom room. So 1 second here, because I'm launching our poll. So you should see on your screen a poll showing up. Let us know who you are. If you happen to be just the handful of folks that select other, let us know what that other is. We always get some really interesting folks, from different offices taking on different roles. So please let us know if you happen to select other, what you do. But a very warm welcome to everyone here. We are so grateful that we have so many of you who consistently show up. We see you. We know who you are. And for the newbies, listen, you're here now. So we appreciate that you're showing up too. We have these going all the way through to the end of June. All right. So if you're just showing up for the first time today, kudos for showing up. I think you're going to love what we have planned and you're going to want to keep coming. That's typically what happens. People come once and they're like hooked. Like, give me more, please.
Totally agree. And then if you're new in the chat, let us know if you're new. This is your first time. We want to give you a special shout out. If you're new or this is your first Friday, please let us know. All right, we have Rachel. Welcome, Rachel.
Welcome. We love new faces. I'm going to give folks about another 5 seconds. And then, we got some other polls for you. All right, so I will share those results. So as you can see, we are overwhelmingly PCs. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to our FSCs, our FLCs. We got a SOL teacher on the line, so welcome to you, a couple of administrators. And I see some other folks who I believe wrote in the chat. But again, welcome to everybody. We're so happy that you've joined us today. I think you're in for a treat. We got a great session. But next poll, we got to find out how you're feeling. So 1 second here, let me get that result. Okay, here we are. And remember, if you don't see it, do a little scroll action because there is an H and an I option. H is like none of the above. I got my own set of feelings. And I is just like I'm all of them. And it is perfectly okay to be all of them, all right?
While we're checking out our feelings, I also want to shout out LaShawn. She is new to District 7 at PS 584. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but want to give a special shout out to LaShawn Savara. Shout out, welcome to Friday, welcome to your new position, and welcome to the family-facing community. Ooh. Oh my God. And I also want to say it is a male. It is a guy. So I do apologize for that once again. Welcome to the a family facing community. I'm excited. Laura, who else is excited? What are we feeling right now?
I can say right now, I'm super stoked. I'm happy. And it looks like, I'm going to give folks about 5 more seconds and I'm going to shut it down, but it looks like most folks are happy too. Hold on here. All right, last couple of folks. All right, there we go. And I'm going to share the results out. We are overwhelmingly happy. I knew it. Listen, it's also that time of the year, like the sun is out. I know it's a little on the nippy side, but anytime the sun is out, I got my smile on. It's Friday. I'm just feeling on top of the world. Okay. And then I do have one more poll for you folks. All right. So today is all about presentations. Next Friday, we're going to do kind of a twofer. We're, packing 2 classes into one session. We're going to talk about how to run virtual meetings. Meetings are different from presentations. This is more about like kind of internal meetings that you might hold, some tips and tricks to make your meeting times as effective as possible. And then we're also going to talk about schedule management. Which can be tricky as well, especially if you're working from home. We hear a lot of folks between teachers, parent coordinators, folks on the central side, basically everyone has said, this work from home life and virtual work, it's not the 9 to 5. It's not the 8 to 3. It's like all hours of the day. And the truth is that that's not sustainable. And in fact, you might have already kind of gotten to that point, right? Of, man, I'm overwhelmed. So we've come up with some tips and some tricks to kind of help lessen the load and really think more efficiently through your schedule. So that's what next session is all about. That'll be next Friday. But after that, right, what's on deck? So that's where we need your help. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to launch our final poll for today, and that is our planning ahead. So what is the session that you would most like? And I do want to be really transparent. If you're not seeing something that you need on the screen, write it in the chat. And just, in case you're like wondering, what am I picking? So that school website makeover, human-centered design is all about kind of putting everything together and talking through kind of what are the components of a really well-designed website, thinking with your end user in mind. So that's what that class is about. Formatting for digital accessibility will give you kind of a high-level overview of what goes into accessibility, particularly around anything digital that you're creating, not just websites, but more of like the documents and that end. We also want to be able to tap into our library services. They are a fabulous team. They have a ton of stuff, and it's really amazing what they do and what they've put together. And shockingly enough, even though they have all of it there, not many people know about it. So we wanted to see if you would have interest in getting the library folks over here. We're thinking pulling them in at least in the May area as you're planning for, summer and what that can look like and how to support families during the summer months. You could definitely use the resources from library services to keep the learning going. All right. And then we've done our connecting with families with Instagram and Facebook. So the last social media frontier that we should cover is Twitter. So if you have an interest in that, let us know. And then if you're interested in this, in rolling out digital citizenship school-wide, we can definitely tap on our colleagues here. Also Tali from Common Sense, who can provide that for you. So I will give you last couple of seconds before I shut down our polling. All right, and I'm going to end it. Okay, and there we go. Let me share the results so you guys can see. So it looks like there's a lot of interest very closely for several classes. So we will definitely plan, and next week we'll share with you kind of what's on deck in the coming weeks. All right, so let's stop with that. And guess what? Time to learn. So let's get on over into our presentation because I'm really excited today. Again, it's all about presentations. So give me 1 second here. So here is our agenda for today. We've already done all of our introductions, so we're going to dive right into planning. So we're going to talk all about planning and what goes into the planning process. We'll then talk about delivering your presentation and all the tips and tricks that will help you deliver a really polished presentation, all right? And then we'll actually end with reflection and next steps because guess what? It's actually not over once you're done presenting. There's still a little left to go. And then as you know, we will end with Q&A and we'll wrap up CTLE attendance, all that good stuff. All right. But let's get into it. And you know, you'll see peppered throughout this presentation, I've got some quotes to kind of kick us off. And I start with this one because so many folks have told me, oh, Laura, you know, I love listening to you present. You bring this, you bring that. It looks great. Well, I want to tell you that the secret to all of that is preparation, right? So I'm starting with this quote from Dale Carnegie. Only the prepared speaker deserves to be confident. When you prep what you're doing and you put a lot of thought into it, I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference. When you're kind of rushing, slapping stuff together, doing it last minute, that's when, yeah, you're not going to feel confident and it definitely will show. So if you want to really be effective, it starts with the planning. It should always start with the planning. All right. So let's actually get into what that means. First things first, you should identify the type of presentation. Now, you may not have ever thought about this, but there are actually different types of presentations. So, you know, some of the typical ones that you probably are used to, informational, right? This is where you're going to be sharing information about a topic or a project. A lot of what you probably do does fall into this category. If you're sharing information with your parents, you're doing a presentation to your school community, it's probably going to fall in the realm of informational. So that's one type. Another type is reporting, very similar to an informational type of presentation, but it's a little heavier on the data and statistics side of things. So this is where you may be presenting the results of, say, the survey that parents and staff members take. You may be sharing, results of testing and data. So that's, another type of presentation. Then you've got proposals. This is where you're trying to convince others to either join a project, adopt a particular, product or a particular service. This is, going to be where you really are trying to pitch something, right? Get people on board. Then there's training types of presentations. It's actually what we're doing here today, right? Where you are going to be teaching folks how to do something, right? So that's a training type. Then you've got discussion or roundtable. This is heavily driven by participants. This is actually kind of where our coffee, tea, and tech talk falls into. It is very much about a discussion and a roundtable, getting folks to share and ask questions and participate. And then you have awards and celebrations. So these are kind of the big ones. I'm not going to say they're the only kind. If you regularly do something else, please feel free, pop that in the chat. But like I said, these seem to feel like the biggies, right? The ones that you're probably like, yeah, I've done maybe one or two of these. I'm typically always doing informational and training, or, every so often I got to do my discussion and roundtables. So this seems to be where a lot of us are putting our efforts in. So it's important when you are planning to actually identify what type of presentation, because when you identify the type, then it'll actually help you better plan for the best setup and what you're going to actually need to put together. Now, once you identify the type, then you need to consider your audience. So who is your intended audience, right? And we also need to think through, are they actually going to attend live, or is this something you're sending to your audience and the expectation is that they consume asynchronously? Because again, that will change how you put things together. You also want to kind of put yourself in the perspective of your audience member and thinking from their point of view, what is it that they're going to need to walk away with to feel successful? Oftentimes we'll think of it from the presenter view of like, this is what I want them to know. But then if we kind of switch roles, we go, wait a minute, they might actually want to know this, this, and this. So very important, if you're delivering a workshop that's going to be predominantly for parents and caregivers, what would you as a parent and caregiver want to know, right? So designing with your audience in mind is really going to help you create a presentation that meets their needs, not just what you want it to do. Now, once you've identified these two things, then you can really begin the planning process, because that's, as you can see, is the first step. Whoops. It's to identify the type of presentation and your target audience and their expectations. So that's really the first one, and that will set the tone for you. Then you want to set the goals and objectives for the session. So what is it that you want to accomplish by the end of that session? What are you going to need to accomplish those goals? And how will you know that you've accomplished that? Is it that you're going to ask folks to take a survey at the end? Is it that you're going to ask them to do things? I go back to what we did last week with Lori. Lori and I planned that, and she had things. And this was actually part of the process, thinking through, like, after we do this Canva PD, what are folks supposed to do? We wanted you to go in the Canva platform. We wanted you to be able to try things out. And as you've seen in the chat, because I saw her write it before, she was looking to see, who's got it, who's not, right? Did you show up with your background? Did you do your homework? Did you have trouble with Canva and kind of getting started? So that's actually all part of the goals and objectives. Now, once you've done that, determine your format, right? Are you going to use slides or no slides? You'd be surprised, but I've been to a lot of presentations where folks are clearly giving out a lot of information and there's no slide deck, like, at all. Like, they're just talking. That's a little problematic. You want to have some sort of slide deck that people can watch and listen to while you're presenting. However, I would also caution you that for certain types of presentations, a slide deck isn't really necessary. So for example, discussion and roundtable, that's not really a slide deck type of presentation. You can certainly have an opening slide if you want to just have like a welcome and maybe a slide with like your presenter info. But once the roundtable and discussion part starts, that's when you kind of want to put the slide deck away so that it's not taking up prime real estate on the screen. Right? Because if you're doing, any type of office hours or discussion and roundtable, you want folks to be able to see each other. So again, this is where you want to think about what type of presentation am I doing? Because is it going to actually necessitate slides, or can I keep my slides to the bare minimum? Now, once you've decided all that, gather all the necessary information and materials that you will need. It may require you to do a little research. I know that when I put together presentations, I'm researching. For this one, I was scouring the internet, scouring some of our teacher sites to find what were some of the tips and tricks and tools to make effective and great presentations. So do know that that is part of the process. And you may even need to tap on others to collaborate with you. So when I don't know things, I certainly reach out to my community and say, hey, who's the expert in this? Can you help me with this piece? So tap on others. You don't have to do this alone. And then once you've done all that, then it's time to put it together in a well-structured format. So let's talk about putting together that slide deck. Now you're going to notice, because we've touched upon some of this before, you'll see some repeat information, but we're going to go even deeper, I promise. So the first step to preparing your slide deck is to actually choose a template. Now, it's really important that when you're choosing a template, you keep a few things in mind. One, I can't say this, enough, but you should pick an accessible template. Listen, you already know I'm from the digital inclusion team. I gotta just squeeze in the accessibility in there. And yes, you want to pick something that is accessible. You also want to try and stay with something simple and clean. All right. Now I'm going to be super transparent. In fact, I'm going to pop out so that you can see. All right. I know a lot of people love Slides Carnival. I'm going to go there so that you can see. All right. And there is nothing wrong with Slides Carnival. I actually think it is great. I'm going to show you though. And look, it's featured front and center. Oh, let me close this. Oh, come on. Wait, hold on. It was featured and then it went away. There's the colorful one that I see all the time. Of course, there it is. It's this one. All right. Listen, it's cute. I love it. It's busy. It's really busy. All right. If you've never seen this one, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm telling you right now here, I can kind of scroll through. You can see all the colors. It's got a lot going on. This is, nice if you're doing something maybe for students. I will tell you, if you're doing something that's very family facing, or just internally, I want to caution you against doing things with a lot of colors and a lot of elements. All right. Sometimes simple is best. So if you're using a Slides Carnival, look, they have a simple tab. Go to the simple tab, go to the elegant tab. This is where you're going to see stuff that's really clean and polished and doesn't use a whole lot of, colors and design. I'm telling you right now, it'll serve you best. I know we like color, but when it comes to a presentation, especially something that you're going to give to a community, keeping it simple is nice because sometimes it can feel like information overload. All right. So be really, really mindful, when picking this. And I just got a private message. Yes, Slides Carnival, it is free. All right. This is absolutely free. So if you're looking for some nice templates, you can certainly go there. Google also has kind of some set templates, so you can use the ones that Google has provided. But either way, you should be using a template. It just adds that nice consistency across your presentation. All right. And that's that final bullet point, because it's gonna make everything look connected. I will tell you, when folks don't use a template and then they just start making different colored backgrounds and each slide's a different color and a different layout and all different designs, it looks very mismatched. It looks like, oh, you had 20 different people working on a slide deck. So use a template. It just gives that extra little bit of professionalism. Now, the other thing I want to caution you on is to actually use the template the way the template is laid out. So here's where I'm going to pop out of my presentation. One second here. So let me show you something. So oftentimes when you go to add a slide, you come up here and you pick whichever layout you want, right? So let's say I pick this. All right. And, I'm going to talk about steps for. All right. And then, oh, you know what, man, I realized I wanted 2 columns. Here we go. I'm just going to make my 2 columns. Let me add another text box. Hold on. Here we go. Folks, I want you to know that what I just did broke the template. This is how easy it is. And this is why I wanted to do this for you. This right here breaks my template because what I should have actually done is pick the slide that has the title and 2 columns. All right. But oftentimes we'll pick the wrong one and just kind of make it fit what we want it to do. This is wrong. And this will actually mess up reading order. It can actually break the accessibility. So you might have picked an accessible template, but the minute you did this, you broke it. So here's what you can actually do. If you realize oh no, I need something else, go to where it says slide and then go to apply layout. If you realize that you picked the wrong one, you can apply the title in 2 columns. Right. And I can just delete this text box. Notice it kept my title in there. And now I actually have it the way it should be laid out. All right. So please use templates the way they're laid out. It actually is important. And again, the deal with accessibility. You never know who in your community will need it. But if they do, it's going to make a world of difference. So make sure you're using your templates as is. Now let me delete that because I don't want that slide. Now, the second thing you're going to want to do once you select a really nice template is to then actually build your deck. All right. And we've talked about this before, that when you build your deck, you want to keep your slides simple because people are either going to listen to you or they're going to read what's on your slide. They will not do both. All right. They just don't, especially if you got a lot going on. It's just words, 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 words. That's too much. It's information overload. And it's actually hard for your brain to do that. It's hard for your brain to process someone speaking and then trying to read at the same time. So do yourself a favor. Keep it simple, less words, use bullet points and numbered lists to break up your content into bite-sized chunks. All right. You don't even need to use full sentences. I want to remind you that slides are visual. They're actually not meant to be like papers and communicate a whole ton of verbal written communication. Slides are visual. So you want to treat them that way. You want to make sure that they are visual. Now, you also want to make sure that you're separating your content into distinct sections or topics, because that will then help you really be strategic with what you put on a slide. If you're trying to kind of cram everything in there, you probably ought to break your content up. All right. And that is something I want to show you. So let me, because I made a bad example. Let me show you what I mean. All right. So I have the slide hidden, but I want to show you what a bad example looks like. Here is step 1, step 2, step 3. And I see people do this all the time. They're like, oh, I'm talking about preparing your slide deck. I'm gonna put all 3 steps all on the same slide. Keep it real with me. Are you gonna read all this in a presentation? If you're a participant, probably not. This is already too much. Notice how tiny my words are, right? This is actually bad. Oh, I show this to you because it's really easy to fall into this trap of I just want to, step 1, step 2, step 3, all on the same slide. Why? Who says you have to have it on the same slide? No one says that it has to be on the same slide. So do yourself a favor, do your family community a favor, break it up. You don't need to put all the steps all on one slide, right? That's exactly what I did. So I had so much information packed into each step that I literally made each step its own slide. You can do that. All right. So don't feel like you can't. It's your presentation. Make it feel, all right, easier to consume. If you're trying to cram too much into one, guess what? Your audience loses you anyway. Also, don't forget to include images. I go back to the fact that slides are visual. So when you don't put any type of visuals in there, it actually can look a little odd. And I've looked through slide decks and, it takes me a few slides, but then I realize I'm like, oh, that's what it's missing. It's missing the pictures. Throw some pictures in there. I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference. You might be going, really? It's clip art. I need clip art. Let me tell you right now, yes, you need clip art. You need something on there for people to look at. So use that clip art. Remember, you can do this really easily within Google. I'm going to show you one more time. I know I keep popping out, but in Google, you can go to insert, you can go to image, and look, you can search from the web and it pulls up right within Google Slides. So you don't even have to leave Google Slides. You can type anything you want. So maybe I'm doing a presentation. I want some pictures of trees, I can literally drag it right on in. All right. It's going to create the image for me. I can resize it, do whatever I need to do. Remember, I'm going to add my alt text because that is important, but I can add an image right in. All right. I'm going to delete that, but it's super simple. You can also use, GIFs, Giphy.com, great for just, a quick GIF in there. GIFs are also nice. You do want to vary up the images that you use. So, a well-placed GIF can always kind of get your presentation a little bit more attention. And then do utilize the speaker notes for what you want to say. So if you're wondering how in the world does Laura just remember everything she's going to say? Listen, here's my cheat sheet. All right. I even tell myself, pop out, right? I highlight it. Listen, you don't have to have it all in your head. That's the secret sauce. When people are like, it looks so good, it's so professional. Yeah, it's in the notes. So do yourself a favor. Pop everything into your notes. We're going to talk about what you can do once you're actually presenting. And my homegirl, Christina, has a little hack for that. But use your speaker notes. This is what will help you look like the most prepared presenter on the planet. All right. This is it. And then once you've built that slide deck of yours, now you got to run through it all. And this is the super, super secret sauce. You have to practice it. I will tell you right now, this is the first time we are teaching this class. It's about maybe the 5th time I've run through this deck. And I mean the full deck. I ran through it with the team. Christina and Lisa heard this. I ran through it on my own. I then made tweaks. I ran through it again. I know you might be going, but Laura, really? Yes, that's what it takes to be confident. to practice, to really think about what is it that you're going to say. I will also tell you, when I run through my presentations, that's how I actually generate all of the speaker notes. If you're wondering, like, how do I populate my speaker notes? Well, I run through it and I think, what is it that I want to say? And then I start typing it out in there. So these are all the things that will really give you that edge and make you look even more professional. Okay. As you're doing that, you also want to time the presentation. Oftentimes we neglect to do that and we just say, this will take about, an hour. Oh, this should take about 30 minutes. And we don't realize that actually it might take longer, right? We might not realize that something actually takes a little longer to get through. So please do time your presentation. And remember, it is important to include time for things like breaks, Q&A, and participant interaction. And that's not stuff you can always completely plan, but you want to allot some time for it. So we always know we have about an hour's session. So I actually plan for about 50 minutes worth of content. Reason why is I'm essentially giving 10 minutes of time for, people to join, even we try to start on time, but we also know, even if you're slated to start at 10, you probably really start at 10:02. Right? Let's be real. That's kind of what happens. So there's a little wiggle room right there. You also will have, polling and times where you're going to ask your audience to participate. That will also take time. So you always want to give yourself a little extra time, then cut it too close. Because guess what? You can always end things early, right? You can always slot yourself for 60 minutes and realize, hey, we're going to end today and I'm giving you 5 minutes back. Participants will never argue with that. The gift of time is quite possibly the most precious gift of all. So if you can give your participants back time, that's better. But what you should never do is take time, right? Because if you're supposed to end at 11 and it's now 10:58 and you're only halfway through, that's a problem, right? Because now you're going to try and squeeze a whole bunch of stuff into like 2 minutes. And let's face it, that's not effective at all. So do remember to time. And it's always nice to have that buffer because again, you'll need it. It'll happen. You will need that buffer time and you're going to thank yourself that you included it. Remember to, as you're going through everything, align your slide deck with your agenda. We'll talk about agendas in a moment. And if possible, have colleagues give you feedback. I will tell you that is absolutely how I tighten all of it up. I really lean on my colleagues. Christina gave me some great feedback when I was running through this. Lisa, same thing. And that is definitely also important to really making your presentation even better because they'll catch things that you might not have seen and they'll give you advice that you didn't quite consider. And it's always helpful. So the more eyes you have looking at it, the better. So we've done some agenda work before, but just to really, be solidified in this, when you make a great agenda, you're going to give your session a title that conveys what you're really doing. You have that overview that's going to tell what your session is going to cover. Remember, meaningful hyperlinks to all your resources that you're going to share. Link, if you can, all the kind of corresponding slides to each part in your agenda. And then include a timed breakdown because that's also going to give folks an idea of kind of what is happening when. The benefits of an agenda, remember, because every presentation should have a corresponding agenda. Agendas serve as the one-stop shop. So it literally can be the single takeaway, right? Folks are always like, wait, can I get access to the presentation? Someone drop the link, drop the link. Guess what? All we have to ever drop is the agenda. Everything is linked in the agenda. So it truly can be the single takeaway for your participants to leave with. It is an editable document. So the beautiful thing when you have an agenda is that you can always add items or remove items, even during your presentation. We've done that. Like sometimes folks will say things and we're like, you know what? Hold on, we need to add that link in. Give us a moment. So we will do that, even in a live session. It's just a really nice thing to have. And if you're looking for a sample agenda template, we have it linked here. Latiqua just repopped the link to our agenda. And remember, that's all you need. So everyone who's like about to say, but wait, can I get the slides? You can always get the slides if you access the agenda. All right. The agenda has everything. And that's the beauty of an agenda. Now, last little bit when we're talking about planning, don't forget to plan for audience participation. Super important. So what does that look like? Remember, you can do polling, think about collaboration time that might happen in, say, a breakout room, and even the chat. The chat is always a great place to collaborate. And we know, particularly in this session, the chat is popping, right? Everyone's in the chat. So, plan for that time. Remember to also plan for Q&A. You should always have some Q&A, even if it's just a presentation. Give folks the chance to ask questions, all right? Because there will be questions. And then do also, let folks know how they can get support after your meeting. You may not get to all the questions, right? And that happens a lot in our sessions that we do. Not because we don't plan out time, but this typically ends up being a very large group. We're at just about 200 participants today. So you better believe we're not going to get to every single question. It is the unfortunate nature, but that is why we have our office hours that we do every month. It is also why we have that form. So we give folks a way to ask questions, even when we're not in a Friday session. So consider that as well. And then I know folks keep asking about polling. So in the agenda, we have linked a video on how to do this, but I am going to show you today because, again, we get asked that question a lot and it's super, super easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Zoom account. Remember, you do need to use your nycdoe.zoom.us account. You'll log in. And then what you need to do is you need to have a meeting already set up. All right, so you can see this is actually our meeting right now. I'm not going to add polling to that meeting. I will tell you, if you've already launched your session, it can be difficult to add polling. You're going to want to do it in advance. So here is our next Friday session. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where it says poll, and then I'm going to click the add button. So this is how you add a poll. You can include a title to remind yourself what the question is. You can make it anonymous if you would like. Depending on the type of question you're asking, you may want to do that. If it's kind of like feedback for me, like, was this helpful? Was this not? You can certainly check that off and then type your question here. So I'm going to title this sample poll. Type your question. How is the training today? And then you can decide if it's a single choice or a multiple choice. What that means is if it's single choice, folks will only be allowed to select one answer. If it's multiple choice, they can select multiple answers, right? So I might say training is great, good, not good, really bad. This is clearly a sample question. I would never ask this, guys. But you get the point. And what's really cool is that you can even add a question to this. So maybe you want a two-parter, right? So how was the training today and what could be better? So you could ask a two-parter, and when you launch this poll, it would actually allow participants to answer both questions at the same time, like answer one and then answer the other one immediately, or you could create separate polls. It's up to you, and you can launch as many polls as you would like. You've seen me do it. I launched 3 polls today, right? Wanted to know who was in the room, how you were feeling, and what you wanted for your next PD sessions. But this is how to add it. I'm going to just delete this question. I'm going to save this. And now the poll is there. And when I'm in the actual meeting, all right, I can then launch this poll. It's part of my presenter tools at the top. But that is how you do Zoom polling. And I see some folks in the chat saying about the Google Doc permissions. You do have to be logged into your schools.nyc.gov accounts. As you might have heard, we've had some sharing issue things happen. You got an email from our Chief Information Officer, Anurag Sharma, explaining that. So we cannot, unfortunately, make these anyone with the link anymore. We are really advised to make them anyone within our NYC DOE tenant. So if you're having trouble accessing it, please do make sure you're not using even your school-based Gmail, because that's technically an outside Gmail. Use your DOE login, all right? And that should give you access. All right, and then a couple of quick tips on how to make it accessible in case you were wondering. Remember, you're going to use the style pane, alt text, good color contrast. make your hyperlinks meaningful, use the templates as is, add that shortened URL for easy access, and add a QR code for easy access. I know I ran through that fast, but we've talked a lot about the accessibility. And remember, if you do need more support with this, always come to a PD with us. Let's now talk about delivery, and another really great quote coming to us from Ralph Waldo Emerson. So all the great speakers were bad speakers at first. And I really do mean this, all right? Even myself. I will tell you right now, listen, I'm not shy. That's not my issue. I'm not shy at all. I've always been that kid. I'm, never the one to like, do like this. I'm front and center, but I will tell you, I wasn't always the greatest presenter. And it had to do with the fact that I kind of ran on tangents. I was that person. Just I could talk about anything, but at the same time, do a whole lot of nothing. So I want to tell you that, when it comes to great speaking, it's a skill that is acquired. All right. And this really goes to this being a skill that you're going to work at. This is not something people are born with. All right. If you know the work of like, Carol Dweck and the idea of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, I want you to have a growth mindset. We talk about it with our kids, but we oftentimes neglect to apply it to ourselves. So if you don't feel particularly confident as a speaker, I want you to have that growth mindset, and I want you to know you need to work at it. It's something that everyone works at, myself included. I make it look easy, and that's because I practice it. The pros, they make it look easy. Steph Curry always nails the shot. You want to know why? Because in practice, Steph Curry does like 200 free throws. He's posted it on YouTube and on his social media. That's the secret sauce. You got to practice. It's not just some skill that people have. You do need to work at it. So with that, remember, if you're struggling, take the time, practice. You will get better. Also set some realistic goals for yourself. This is sometimes where folks, they set the bar so high, and when they don't meet it, they get really frustrated with themselves. Be realistic. If you know that this isn't your jam, you're kind of working on it, baby steps. Set a goal that feels practical, something you can work on in the immediate. Maybe your first step is just, you know what, I get so nervous and I'm clearly not practicing. I'm going to make sure to run through my deck at least 2 times. Maybe that's my thing, and that's what's going to help me. The other thing too, do not compare your abilities to someone else. We are all at different points in this path. So some folks, they've done a lot of practice and prep. They're at a different level because that's where they're at. All right. Don't compare yourself to someone else who's rocking it. And you're like, oh man, I can't be like that. You're not going to be like that. You're going to be you. All right. When you are you, you're genuine, and your audience will appreciate that genuine. Because when you're trying to mimic someone else's style, it doesn't feel good. All right. It really doesn't. And it'll come across. Your audience will know. And then last but not least, listen, fake it till you make it. All right. We all get a little nervous, myself included. I have presented at things, international conferences. I'll never forget when I presented at ISTE, my heart was pounding. And then the text, of course, started to fail. And I was like, oh my God. But you better believe I slapped a smile on, and I chugged through it. So don't worry. You're going to be fine. A lot of this is just us building it up in our heads. So a couple of presenting tips that you can do to help you out. And I will tell you, I do some of this. So I actually do have a warm up, and I shared it with the team, and they of course laughed. And I was like, I know you think I'm ridiculous, but this is what I do. I do one of those like, and I like get like the words out. It sounds crazy. If you were to see me get ready, all of you would think like, dear Lord, what is that? But it really just kind of gets the nervousness out. So whatever your warm up is, do that. Some people like to listen to music, jam out to their favorite song. Some people do yoga, do a little stretching. It just kind of helps relieve the nerves and the tension. Lisa even happened to share that she does some positive affirmations. And I know Christina is big on positive affirmations. So be kind to yourself, right? Like if you're coming into the meeting going, oh man, you're not a good speaker. Like you better get on point, just like slapping yourself around. Like that's not going to work. You need positivity. So you need to tell yourself, even if you don't quite feel it, you got this. You're going to rock it. You got to slam in presentation. You got to pump yourself up. All right. Say positive things. It really does kind of radiate when you do that. With that, have your water or beverage nearby. I always keep water. I have my tea that I've been drinking. You're going to want to have that, because if you're talking for the whole time, yeah, you'll take a quick break when there's a lull, and you'll take a sip. Do keep in mind, relax, breathe, take a breath. It's okay. I think we build up a lot of things. If you make a mistake, don't stress it. Keep going. I make mistakes all the time. Sometimes I can't talk, and I'll make jokes with this crew like, "Oh, it's Friday. By the end of the week, I can't speak." But I've had it happen on a Monday, and I'm like, "Guys, I don't know. It's just laugh. Don't stress yourself out. You're gonna be fine." And then be honest with your audience. If you're having tech difficulties, say it. I was having them this morning. I switched headphones, kept it moving. Don't let little things keep you bogged down. All right. Your audience doesn't care. Just keep it moving. Now, we've talked through some setup before, so I will go ever so slightly faster, but you know that you can basically use either two screens, two devices, or one device and split your screen. It really is a personal preference, and depends on kind of your comfortability. There is no right or wrong to this. I personally am a two-screen type of girl. What I will tell you is that this is probably the trickier option, only because it's a lot to manage. So if you're not super, super tech savvy, you may not want to do this, or this may be something you practice, right? This may be something where you're going to try it first with just your internal team before you start doing a big old presentation with a ton of family members, right? So, this is the trickier setup, but basically, one screen is to share your presentation and to share your screen. The second device is for you to see the chat and possibly also have your presentation up. So that is what the two-screen experience allows you to do. Do keep in mind, you will have to make sure that your second device is muted. If not, you're going to get that really horrible audio. You'll see right now, I'm joined from my second device, and I actually label it in Zoom because I've had this happen where people see both my names and they start messaging the other computer, and I don't always see those. So you'll notice that I'm logged in and it says Laura Ogando's laptop. I do that on purpose when we're in Zoom. Just so that folks know, but that's not even connected to audio. I make sure I don't connect it, and that's my second device to be able to see the chat and see what you guys are seeing. If you don't have that luxury, or you're just more comfortable with one device, you can split your screen with Duelist and just kind of work with your one device. This will allow you to kind of present, but also see the chat. This is a Google extension. It is free. But again, this is where it gets tricky. All right. If you're trying to split your screen, you may need to change the aspect ratio. But again, it's good for one device. Now, I'm going to turn it over to my girl, Christina, because she has a really cool hack for how to kind of do the one device, but change your presenter view.
Thanks, Laura, so much. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you, using the same presentation, how you can do this. So I'm going to share my entire desktop. Okay, so right now you should see my entire desktop. One of the best things that you can do if you are only using one screen, or if you're using two screens, so you can still see your speaker notes, those awesome speaker notes that Laura was talking about before, is use presenter view. Because if you just do this, present, then you don't have access to your speaker notes. And then what are you going to do? How are you going to see everything that you already presented or have down and prepared for, like Laura was talking about, which is a best practice, by the way, right? Put down your notes, get feedback, include all of those things. So how we can do this and actually still get access to our speaker notes is right next to present. There's a drop-down arrow. You want to hit that drop-down arrow and you want to hit presenter view. So what's about to happen is on the left-hand side, you're going to see my presenter view here, and then you see the presentation on the right. So if I had two screens, all I would do is just move this to the second screen, and then the audience would be seeing this. If I wanted to, however, if I share my screen, you have the option of choosing which window to share. You would share only this window, not this one. It'll populate as two different windows. And this actually controls the presentation. So that's what Laura's going to get to next. But if I was to go back, you can see that I actually have all of my notes here and the presentation is still up in front of me. Now I could also make this as big as I want. So if I have something on the slide I know I want to highlight, but I also have it in my speaker notes, you can play with this and you can customize it. All right. So this is a hack. Not a lot of people know about it, but definitely utilize it. There's more nuances in presenter view as well, like audience tools. We're not going to talk about that today. Don't worry about that. But really, this is what we want you to focus on, the speaker notes. You can still access your speaker notes as you present. This is a life hack and very, very, very important for when you're doing presentations, specifically with Google Slides. So with that, Laura, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you. And I have to say, I learned that little hack from Christina. So in a pinch, or if you're only with one device, this is amazing. You're going to want to do this. It's going to save you a bunch of time. So we've included the screenshots that you can see. Again, it's that presenter view, but it's so cool. And I love that, as Christina showed, you can have it popped out, but still like control everything. And it's going to change what's on the screen for your audience. So, so cool. All right. We've also mentioned this before, but again, for folks who are new, if you are co-facilitating, so you are doing a workshop with a colleague of yours, have a back channel. It is always nice. It allows you to communicate with your co-facilitator privately. So you look super polished and professional and like you got your stuff together, even if you don't. And I will tell you, every once in a while, we're on the back end going, oh my goodness, what's happening? But you guys don't see that. So that's the beauty of a back channel. I will tell you, you can do this in a few ways. If you're using Zoom, you can actually use the private message feature, and we do tend to use that private message feature a lot as well. You can also keep it old school and use text. What I will say with that is be careful, because if you're like this in your screen, then yeah, everyone knows you're texting, and then it's not so discreet. So kind of keep it down away from the camera view, but you can always text your co-facilitator. You can have a Google Meet chat open or an MS Teams chat. But again, all of these options will actually necessitate a second device unless you're kind of splitting your screen with Duelist. Even the whole, text messaging, there's your second device. So just keep that in mind. But this will really allow participants to think that you and your co-facilitator are like literally in the same room, even if you're miles and miles apart. Now, cameras. There's always questions about cameras, right? Do we have them on? Do we not? Some people don't feel comfortable. Here's what we will tell you about cameras. As the presenter, it is very appropriate for you to be on camera, and especially at the start. All right. Nothing's weirder, I think, than like people turn their camera off, but they're presenting. It's almost like the voice from above. I don't know if I'm the only one thinking that, but it's just nice. I like to be able to see who is presenting, even if it's just at the beginning. So if you're presenting, but you're on the shy side, just come on at the very beginning with your camera and say hello, and encourage participants to do the same thing. It really does help build community. Do know that if you're not comfortable showing, your real background, that's okay. I understand. We don't have to show our homes. It's actually why we're very consistent with using backgrounds. It adds that, layer of privacy. So use backgrounds, use camera filters, but bottom line, don't force. It's not a good thing to do. And it's really off-putting, I think, to your community when you're like, hey, turn your camera on. It's just, doesn't need to be that way. And there's also a lot of good reasons for people to have their cameras off. You never know what's happening on someone else's end. People are home. I remember one of my friends telling me, like, I would turn my camera on, but I'm breastfeeding right now. It's like, yeah, you want to see that either. So don't force the camera. You never know what someone else is dealing with. All right. And then just a couple of camera tips. Remember, if you're using two devices, make sure that you're actually, talking to the device that is facing you. I have been in several meetings where, it's like they're using their second device, and this is the image you get. You get like side face. It's so weird. All right. Make sure that the camera you're using is the one facing you. And, that other camera, it's turned off. Actually, if you're using two devices, turn the camera on your second device off. You also want to angle your device to look directly into the camera. Try to avoid the up the nose or the downward angles. I know that can be tricky if you're on a laptop. Listen, get old school, get a stack of books, get a shoebox. Raise your device. All right. But I'm telling you, the up the nose shots are always really, really weird. Good lighting makes all the difference. I do have an O-ring light. I have it on. Of course, you can't see it because I'm showing it to you, but there it is. I keep it on. But I also have two lights that are right next to me. I got a lot of lighting. Lighting makes all the difference. It really, really does. Nothing's worse than looking like you're taking the meeting or a presentation from a cave. Do keep in mind that if you're on a laptop, Where the camera spot is also probably where you open your laptop. So good advice, wipe it down, right? Especially before a good presentation, get especially where the camera is. You don't realize it, but we smudge that up all the time and then we look blurry on camera. So wipe it down, and then know that Zoom has a touch up my appearance setting. I will tell you, I do use it. It's not in the middle. It's like, a little less than the middle, but I feel like it gives me a little something, just a little camera ready action. I like it. I'm waiting for that feature to come to Teams and to Meet, but Zoom has it. So if you're in Zoom, feel free, touch up that appearance of yours. Why not? Glam it up. And then a couple of things for audience participation. All right. Keep in mind, the same way that some folks are never going to turn on their camera, some folks are never going to participate in the chat. They're joining you, they're following along, but they're not going to participate in the chat. And even if you prompt folks, some folks will never come on camera or use their mic. They're just not. It's okay. So this is all the more reason for you to have multiple ways for people to participate. Do polls, have your chat open, encourage, towards the end Q&A, have multiple ways, but know that not everyone will make use of it. It's okay. Live with it. Also, use polls and reaction buttons. They can give you information as well. It doesn't always just have to be in the chat. And then don't forget that wait time. Wait time is actually really important. And sometimes we don't give enough wait time, right? We ask a question, we're like, all right, pop it in the chat. And then we give 5-10 seconds. And we're like, no one's in the chat. What happened? It's like, hey, people are typing. Give them a second. Not everyone's a super typer. So it's okay to kind of give that time. But if you notice there's not a lot of movement, don't force people, right? Just say, all right, remember the chat's always open. It's okay. Feel free, pop it in there. Be patient with folks. Again, we want to give them the option. We never want to force. And then the last little bit, because like I said, it's not over once you're done presenting. Like you might think it is, and you breathe that sigh of relief of like, okay, I made it. I'm alive. I'm in one piece. I did the presentation. I think it went well. You're not done. And I love this quote from John Dewey. It says, we do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience. And this is why this piece is truly so important. So, you've gone through that presentation, you presented your heart away, and then what you're going to do is you're going to debrief with your team. So it is advisable to try and schedule your debrief immediately after, or at least within a day, where the thoughts are fresh on your mind, you just finished, and you can talk with your team. And we actually do that as well. We have a debrief that happens every day after this at 11:30. We all hop in there. We talk about, all right, this went well. Ooh, next time we're going to do this. Let's talk about the survey results. Let's plan for our next class. We do all of this stuff, and we do it immediately after because it's fresh on our minds. If for some reason you can't, I get it. Sometimes things come up, if you're doing a presentation late in the day, for parents, it's like at 6 p.m. at night. Yeah. No one wants to debrief at 7 p.m. So try and make it for the very next day. But if that's not possible, at least start some sort of document where you can take notes and preserve your thoughts. So, if you're doing something and you're not going to be able to talk about it until, next Monday, just quickly type in your thoughts, share it with your team. That way you don't forget things you wanted to discuss. Now, what are you going to discuss when you actually get to the debrief? A couple of things first. Highlights and successes, right? You do want to start with the positives. A lot of folks will use that whole glow and grow, right? So share the glows first. Share what went well, even if it didn't. I was actually part of a presentation a few weeks ago that was it really wasn't so great. And yet we started out with some glows. We started out saying, you know what? This was really good. All right. It's important to start out with that. It's not healthy to just start ripping things apart. So start out with the highlights and the successes, and then talk through the areas for improvement. And when we talk about the areas for improvement, you want to think about, constructive feedback. We're not trying to rip people apart. We're not trying to make people feel bad. This is all from a place of hey, let's level up. Let's do better, right? And then also focus on things that can be actually improved. Going back to that presentation a few weeks ago, I will tell you, there were some things that were actually out of our control that we couldn't, no matter what, have really planned for or changed. It just had to do with the way that it was set up. A different office was kind of late and it kind of delayed our presentation. Yes, we were annoyed with it. Is it really an area for improvement? No, our team couldn't do anything. So really focus on what you can actually do. And then remember those next steps, right? What is it that you're going to do to make this better for next time? And I caution you to think about SMART goals, which is like smart, measurable, attainable, like all that good stuff. You really want to, think about what can I actually work on? Maybe it's that you're going to tweak your slide deck. You're going to add some more information that you missed. Maybe you're going to create new materials or approach the work differently. Or you realize, you know what, we were trying to cram everything into this one session and we clearly need a part 2. Right? So think about what you're going to do. And then you also want to decide upon actionable next steps for the presentation. So are you sending a follow-up email to your participants? Are you scheduling that second session because you realize like, ooh, we clearly didn't get to cover everything and we need to go deeper, right? Or actually we learned that, folks need this information. Let's get that together. Decide upon actionable next steps to share with your participants. So with that, folks, it actually brings us to the very end. Latiqua has gone ahead and posted the attendance link because I know some folks are probably needing to leave. So just to take care of those folks first, you're going to fill out the attendance. This class is called Creating Great Presentations. Please make sure that you select the right class. All right. And then if you have questions, feel free to, because we are a large group, I'm going to ask that folks raise their digital hand if you want to come on your mic and share that way. Remember, you can always type your question in the chat. But if you have any questions about anything presented, please, please, please either pop them into the chat or raise your hand. And do I know if the interpretation function is working through the DOE Zoom? I believe it actually does in Zoom. I know Zoom will do it, and so will Microsoft Teams. We are in the process of getting our Microsoft rep to do a translations PD. The deck is being put together. It's actually kind of, I don't want to say stuck in legal, but legal does have to approve it because there is some important information around translation, and there are limitations. All right. And that is why, there's things that we can use AI for, right? Artificial intelligence. And then there's things we cannot. So, AI is great for virtual presentations and kind of parent workshops. And when you're, needing to maybe translate a slide deck, AI is fine. Things like, legal communication, IEP, things like that, you should never be using. So that's kind of why the lawyers have to approve the slide deck, but do know it is coming. We are hoping to get that to you actually sometime in May, probably late May, but we will be doing that, okay? So great question. Any other questions? And feel free, if you do want to share with your voice, just raise a digital hand and we'll call on you. And I see Derry sharing in the chat. So remember, she started off by asking folks to contribute to her Flipgrid. So in the chat, the link is in there. Please, if you can, share a response on that Flipgrid. We'd love to know what you think. But I do see a hand up, and I'm going to pass it over to Andrea Kelly to ask her question.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
I'm not always able to get myself a Zoom background. Could you just go over that quickly? Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not.
Sure. You know what? I'm going to stop my share and then I'm going to reshare so that you can see my entire screen. So 1 second. Okay, so I think, hold on. I don't think, even though I'm sharing my entire desktop, I don't think you can actually see my Zoom controls, which is a little annoying because I want to be able to show you how I do this. What I will say with Zoom backgrounds, if you do have difficulty and you're seeing like you're blending into your background, it's absolutely a hardware issue. On Zoom, it's all about kind of the processor that you're running, and you have to have a particular type of processor. So, oh, you are seeing my settings. So
We can see it now.
beautiful. So this is where you can get your backgrounds and filters. So they have some preset ones, I think. Like I think the beach background is like a Zoom one. But if you want to add your own, it's this little plus symbol right here. So the plus symbol is where you can add an image or a video. And if you're using Canva to make your Zoom background, do know that you can add videos, which is cool. They have like some animated ones. So if you're feeling particularly fancy, you can certainly do that. But if you want to add your own, you go to add image. It's then going to pull up your kind of files on your desktop. I don't know that you're seeing this. I'm looking in the presenter view and you don't actually see my window, but it does pull up like my files and then I can select which background I want. So I did create that face one, right? I can add it. And as you can see, there's my face background. Sometimes I use my DOE one. This is what you're probably used to seeing, but you can use any of your backgrounds. For Christmas, I went super fun. You know, I had, there's Salt Bay, I had Santa Bay. But this is where you can add your background to your Zoom. If for some reason you don't have the capabilities, you're seeing like you're blending into the background, it's probably because you don't have a high enough processor speed. And so you're going to need to use a green screen, which I know is annoying because let's face it, many of us do not have green screens, but this is how you would need to do it. So I'm going to switch back to my Face Friday. Shout out to Lori, because again, we made this in Canva. This is how you can do it. If you're making your virtual backgrounds with Canva, Canva will, when you make it, you can then download it and then it's in your files. And that's where, you're going to press that plus button and add it in. So does that help you, Andrea?
Yes, it does. And what was that called? Canva?
So Canva is where you can make your own customized backgrounds. We did this PD last week. Our own Lori Ayers Hutchinson showed us that. We will share, we'll get the link to our YouTube because that's where we post it. But you can make your own, or you can use ones that are preset. You can use Zoom's preset backgrounds. And you can also do, it's probably not the most high tech way, but I was doing this for a while. You can do a Google image search and just find an image you really like and make that your background. A lot of people will do it. They'll find like pictures of Central Park, or maybe, you want to like have your school classroom or, your school building in the background. You can just make a picture your background. All right. There's no right or wrong to it.
Right.
Hello,
Thank you very much.
I actually see some amazing. I see some backtracks now on the chat.
Yep, I'm loving. I think it's Anise Dry is shouting out Eid, right? Like I see Lori just put on the cheers. I love it. See, and that's one of the animated ones in Canva. So you can go really super fancy and have something animated, or you can just stick with something basic.
Okay, guys, we are almost to the end. We have 5 more minutes. I just want to again thank Laura for this amazing presentation, and also remind everyone this will be a great presentation to share with your parent leaders. This is something that they can actually use to prep for their next town hall meeting, their next CC meeting, PPA, PTA meeting. So yeah, share this, turnkey it. And shout out again to the wonderful, wonderful team, Lisa, Laura, Christina, and Tali. She is here. She was here earlier today. We thank you so much. And with that, we have one video submission. We